Okay, so I'm making this little message for myself and for anyone else that's interested. The sound has stopped outside temporarily. It will go all day. In fact, I was kind of motivated more with the sound to make the video, but because I had the TV turned up really loud, because I was going to play a little bit off the TV to override the sound, and it was really loud because the mobile will then pick it up, they've actually turned the sound off. Now, some people might say that what I'm saying is not true and not possible, but it is. I believe it and I know it's so. Everything that goes on around me in my real reality, including that plane going right over now, even though the mobile won't pick that sound up. See, the mobile will only pick up my voice, which is right next to the mobile, literally. My mouth is practically on the screen. But also the sounds that I'm picking up from outside the door and even around on the street are so loud that they come right into the house, because they are a very certain frequency, a certain technical frequency, mechanical sound that vibrates and comes right through the house, really loud, like the jackhammers that have been going. Now, the sound has stopped now, so I'm going to make the video anyway, but also it's better because you will hear more what I'm saying, I guess, and also, but I think that was deliberate. What I'm saying, well, I don't think it's deliberate, I know it's deliberate, but you can see how even I have trouble accepting the reality that I'm living in an artificial technical matrix where every single thing around me, every day, which I know for a fact, I will bet my life on it, every single thing that goes on around me is staged, set up and designed to control me. And this is what is happening to real people, whether you know it or not. If it is covert or hidden to where they play you at a psychological level but you're unaware of it, which is how they really like to do it, or when they openly come out of the closet, out into the open like they did with me, because that's when they get more desperate, when they're like, oh, they think you are going to have some sort of breakthrough in some way. In other words, you're going to affect the matrix or affect the people around or affect, and therefore affect the reality. And that is usually only through the human vibration, because only the human being has the potential for positive vibration. Remember that. All the artificial android people that you see around that are pretend human beings, or as that song goes, and there again they're copying me with this too, The Great Pretender. I thought of that, quite a while back. But all I'm saying is that it doesn't matter what I think of, because they read my mind. The artificial ones read the human thought. They know every thought you're thinking before you think it sometimes. Most of the time, in fact, they know what you're going to do before you do it. But when you think it, as soon as you think it, they download it onto the computer, straight away, onto the internet. And their demigods or artificial ones will then speak it as though they are real-life human beings, full of compassion, full of feeling, full of every emotion. They act it all out and they deliver the human thoughts. The only problem with this is that it is not being delivered, the real human thought is not being delivered directly by real human beings. Me doing this now, I could easily be an artificial one, quite easily. I think the only way that you could probably, in other words, most of, my own perception is that over 95% of what is on the internet and on the computer is artificial, by artificial beings, who are the perfect human pretenders of real life. How can they not be when they are downloading the human thought, downloading the human thought directly And also they are changing the timelines on the computer too, I might add. In other words, you can't necessarily look at a video that says, say 3-5 years ago and assume that it is 3 or 5 years ago. It could be instantly being downloaded now and they merely changed that thing. I've noticed this because I see this happen. They don't mind me seeing it happen because they know they're doing it to me and they know I'm aware of it. But it is essentially takeover of the human mind. Some people have a name for that. It is where they are trying to combine, and actually not trying to, they actually already have, combined the human being with the computer. I can only say that if you don't agree with this or don't think that it's correct, in other words, you think a human being should be an individual, natural, real human being with their own thoughts and their own privacy, unlike they're starting up again now. They're like, she's making something that they don't like, so they're starting up. Try to shut that out. It's even though that sound now appears as though I've blocked it out, it is still coming right into my ears and right through the house. The mobile will only pick it up if I go to the door, because the mobile doesn't pick up the sound the same way as the human ears. I've tried to explain that. Okay, I'm talking about human mind complete combining with the technology or the computer. People have a name for this. It is already taken place. This is what most people don't realise. They think, oh, we control the computer, we control the internet. You have, like me with the mobile now, it looks as though I control it. And okay, so I'm pressing the button on the mobile and recording, which is quite simple. But I can't control them taking my thoughts, both conscious, my whole mind, basically all my mind, because I've been born into a limited mind control human suppression matrix. Oh, I think I got that right. And that's another thing too, they will imitate that, just how I said that, because I'm struggling to get the words out. The artificial technical demigods, and that means most of those that have got videos or information on the computer or the internet, will do that also, to mimic and copy and act out a human being, like a great actor does in a movie. And they are, as we all know, the psychopathic, narcissistic personality are renowned for being great actors. They don't feel any of the stuff that they act out. They're like a great actor, that's right. Actors are not acting out their true emotions or their true experiences. They are merely reading from a script, but they are acting that part out, like in a movie, and exactly like that, better than what a real human being would be, because they know what they're doing and they know the effect it's having. Just like when you watch a movie and you are drawn into it, you only have a small time in a movie, and yet those actors move you greatly because they are going from a script, just like a psychopathic person does. A psychopathic person is similar to the android artificial beings. It's the same thing, except that it is in a human form. But is there any difference? How many types of people are there really in the world now? That's what you have to realise or think about. But of course you don't think about it because it all looks the same. Everyone appears to be just a real life human being. Some are more, harder than others, and you may even say, oh, they're a bit on the the technical side even. You might say they're into all of that. They might be colder in their personality. Some people are warmer, some people are more this, some people more that. We know that. But that is all, most of it is not real anyway, because most are artificial technical beings copying those around them and using that to draw real life to them so they can then control them, use them, utilize them for more information so they can mimic and act better, and then they can take that person over and ultimately really drain them of their energy, because don't forget, while they befriend you, they will affect your mind, because they are artificial technical beings, androids, that need energy, but it has to be of their variety, which is essentially negative, or what we would call the more aggressive, angry, very destructive human emotions. In other words, they seek to destroy, not build. They don't like building. Their way of building is by destroying. They destroy real life so they then control the reality. That is their form of building. They see that, it's a bit like, I suppose, if you had like we think is acceptable, if you want to take over some new land, like has been done down through the centuries, you invade another country. And you can invade, this is an invasion, but it's not done by invading like you would normally think. It is done by slowly, covertly invading human beings by infiltrating them and befriending them and mingling among them and destroying and suppressing their mind. Because if you take a real human's mind, like they do on the internet, where they're downloading my thoughts right now, my whole mind, not just the thoughts that I'm conscious of, but even those, because my mind has largely been closed down since the day I was born. This is what they call coming or into where you start to see things, you know, like now, where you're aware of it. That's when they will openly sometimes expose themselves, because they become aware that you are seeing. See, as I've said before many a time, my awareness became that I realised that many of the people around me were not the same as myself. I thought it was just a personality difference, but I thought it was like the difference between being what you think is a normal, faulty human being and a psychopath. In other words, I came to the conclusion that I was largely surrounded by large amounts of psychopaths. This happened nearly 6 years ago now. And that's when they came down and then exposed the full matrix to me, or the fact that, yes, that not only was this correct, but they were all around and they were aware of it, and that they wanted to control you. And they're like, we have control of your reality. And we are part of this technical matrix. Now, how does real life merge with technology? And to where you are, I'm losing it here, I'm just going to say what comes into my head, so if it doesn't make sense, please don't listen. And I've got that noise coming into my ears, so they're trying to distract me from my train of thought. See, that's the mind control matrix. See how I don't have the peace to even collect my own thoughts, or to even think clearly, to even speak clearly, to speak coherently, because they don't want me to even talk, because they want to steal my thoughts and give them to these demigods that are on the TV screen, or on the computer, on the internet, or whatever you want to call it, any device, and don't forget, we're surrounded by devices now, as you know. So they give, and not only surrounded by them, but we're using them all the time. You know, we don't even put them down. See, this is showing you that the mind can see, it's a covert thing with the human beings, but in reality, they are already controlling some human being's mind. Like, they're already downloading my thoughts onto this. See? and they're relaying it back to me, because I see that my thoughts are being spoken by other people, and this is what is happening to real life. Because the artificial demigods, or the artificial humans, which are all around us, some of them are your rich and famous that you're aware of on the screen or on a computer, and others are every person or most people that are around you, because they are the vast majority now. This is the game that some people are not aware of. This is how they do it. So you're being played on this, and also in your reality around you. Like the noise that's coming around is created by the android beings. They do their staged work. It all looks legitimate. They do all these noisy activities which send out a negative human frequency to your ears and therefore affect your mind, your state of well-being. I've hardly had a moment's peace over the last 6 years at a sound level and at a sight level. And it is so finely tuned that until they expose it to you, you have no idea that you are in a mind control matrix. A total mind control matrix. You think that it is just the odd coincidence, or maybe just some people that are against you. You know, like that could be the case with some people, when they might think, oh, you know, some people don't care for you, they don't like your activities, they might think you don't fit in, so they get other people to combine, maybe like religious type groups or something, different clubs or sects or cults, or, you know, I'm just using words but essentially just any group of people that have certain beliefs, they could combine against you. That's what you would think, but it is much more vast than that. That's what I first thought in my first early stages of when they opened up on me. I've said this before, but as time went on, when you saw how finely tuned it was to where you only have to look somewhere and the light is in your eyes, or the sound is coming. It's a never-ending sight and sound mind control when they come down on you. Like that noise is going there all the time. But if I say it to someone, they say, well, of course you've got noise because they're doing all that major construction right next door. And they're also doing it across the other side of the road, and they're also doing it on the house 2 doors down from that, and then the house 2 doors down from that on the other side. And then when you go down to the end of the street, there'll be the workman digging a hole, pretending to fix, you know, the same hole that keeps somehow popping up every time you go down there. In other words, they're repeating all the work over and over again. That's how I know it's a mind control matrix, or that the people are all android technical beings staging noisy work around me. You see, it has a double effect too. It's not just the noise, it's the fact that you know that you're watched and controlled, because everywhere you go, even if it's only like, you know, you can't walk even just one little block. It happens from the minute you go outside your door, whether it's the car pulling in, or especially the workmen with the uniforms, or where they appear to be doing legitimate work. There's too much of that, but it's also just everywhere along the route where you walk. And I've tried to show this with various videos, but I get sick of it. And don't forget, they can stop it. They don't, if they know you're filming, they can take it away, or, you know. But either way, it looks as though you're in a good spot, because it's like, oh, well, they're fixing everything up. How can you complain about them fixing a hole in the road? What they don't tell you is they made the hole in the road, and that same hole will be back again when it suits them, you know, a week later or something, if you're walking past it. But they move it round, don't forget, so that it looks a little bit more plausible. But also they just do that to keep you in that mind control matrix. But essentially you're still being bombarded with this, and made aware that you are being watched and monitored, and literally surveillance 24/7. Inside your house and outside your house. You're aware of this. They show it. Even though I'm filming this in now, I'm aware that they can see, and they know exactly where I'm standing inside this house. They've shown this to me right from the beginning, and I was mentally disturbed, and that was the whole idea, was to send you round the twist, you know, because you can't prove that. But it was shown to me, and I could go into details about that, but I'm not going to do that now. But essentially they know where you are at every second. They know the exact spot you're standing on. They know exactly what you're doing. They know exactly what you're saying. I mean, don't forget that if they can read your mind, then they know your thoughts. So basically you have absolutely no privacy, and they have totally taken over your thoughts and are downloading it onto this. I will try to, I just use the videos that come up randomly. I'm only sorry that I'm not in my full mind and professional to where I could make a decent video that makes sense to, even though no one will hear it. I still would like it to be at least plausible, but I can't do that because I'm just a very average person. By that I mean I don't have any means. I'm totally isolated. That's another thing. They isolate you so that you have no support and get no help. I do everything. I wasn't even able to put these videos out until recently. Some of them have been on the thing here for nearly, you know, for about 10 months or something, maybe more. You know, like everything is so, that because I'm not very computer literate anyway. In fact, I'm totally ignorant. I only know how to use the mobile and press the record button on the video and download.
And I feel like you have to be very gentle with you. It can't take it as far as that you really want. And I feel like for you, Scorpio, you're letting the person know, like, oh, I can handle the aggression, I can handle it, but they feel as though you really can't handle them, and they feel like they have to walk you through this. Like, you know what? We're going to start at level 1, okay? If it's uncomfortable, you tell me. Let me know right away. Like, that's their energy. They're just, like, giving parental, like, energy. Like, okay, let me know if you're comfortable.
I'm using that just random video, which is like a type of tarot card reading, which I have been watching, because there again, those tarot readers make no bones about the fact that they read the human mind, or what they call the human energy, but they're really technical beings that read the human mind directly and mimic being a real life human being that has some sort of psychic ability. Their psychic ability is using their technological mind, or the technology, to download the human thought. I don't understand that fully, so I may have some of this slightly wrong, but essentially they are downloading my thoughts and my feelings and emotions. Particularly they want that mainly because they lack the positive human emotions. They can only copy and act that out, and they do it very well. They do it like a great actor, an Academy Award winning actor, and they pick the most kind of sensitive and the most emotional types of human beings that they try to send unstable, like myself, where I'm unstable most of the time, so that they can draw those feelings out of you more. Because if I was in a normal, rational world, a natural normal world where I wasn't you know, being controlled by all this noise and sight and sound and people around me that are, you know, are patrolling and controlling with their sight and sound control show around me, using technology and using their understanding of what annoys and frustrates and drives a human being to the point of breaking, you could say. I lost my train of thought because of the noise coming in, you see. Sorry. So the video's no good again, but it's sometimes it's louder than others, but it's coming right through the house. It vibrates right through the house, this sound. That's why I'm showing it here. Even low, the mobile won't pick it up. But I just feel that if I'm not around tomorrow, and I'm not a young person anyway, so you never know in this life either way. Even if you're in the real world, you might not know with different illnesses that they spread around in this reality. And don't forget that if they put an idea into a human's mind, because human thought creates reality, we can literally make ourselves sick, which is what I do. Because they daily show me people on the street emphasising ailments. They do this to me all the time, to where I've got bad legs and things, because they've always got most people walking around with walking sticks and bandages on their legs, and they touch their legs and say things as you go past. This is all part of the mind control matrix. They've been doing that for 6 years now. You're aware of it at some point, which gives you a slight advantage, but we're human beings that take in stuff through our senses. So even though you can be aware of it, you're still taking it in, because we are so finely tuned, and they know this. Just like they are finely tuned for the negativity. They have a different game. An artificial android is finely tuned to a human being through intellect. Human beings are finely tuned to things through their emotion and feeling and their thinking and their ideas. And they control the reality indirectly or unintentionally or unawares. They don't understand. They're unaware that a real natural human being is the centre and life of most things, because it comes from the original proper source. Androids are created artificial beings. Everyone would know that from movies and different things. I now, because of being pushed to the limit, but I'm still here, only just, am aware that I'm aware that oh, I lost my train of thought. See, the noise, that's what I'm saying. See, this is it. If I was, like I was saying before, if I was in a normal natural world, I'm talking fast here because I'll have to fold up. Look, if I was in a normal natural world, I would be able to think clear. But of course, if I was in a normal natural world and wasn't controlled by this, I would probably be relatively at peace. But if I had the knowledge that the human being's thinking can actually keep that peaceful reality around them. See, don't forget, the androids don't want peace. They need the negative energy. So they don't want peace. They will be human. They will, in their human form as they are, they will be what you will think are peacemakers. They will be on this screen here, speaking peace, promoting it, pushing the real humans down to where they're suppressed and mind controlled like I am, and what you could say persecuted if you want to really be blunt about it, because it is persecution really. Because if you're stalked and patrolled by sight and sound and by artificial people that appear to be real humans every single day, almost every minute of the day, I've lost my train of thought again. I am lost my train of thought again because of the sound, you see. This is what I'm trying to say, but it's actually happening even while I'm saying it. But you will probably get ones on the internet that will do the same thing now, you see, too, because every time I do something or a real human being does something, they will copy it and mimic it and act it out in order to appear more human, just on the random chance that one person in a billion might hear me talking and actually think that I'm for real and that everyone else isn't, or that most other people aren't, or actually think that what I'm saying makes some sense. So therefore, real human beings will always be surrounded by these false artificial androids, which are essentially disciples of the God entity that rules this whole reality. And its family, it controls every single thing. It's a total matrix. We know the world is controlled in many ways anyway. We just don't know how vastly it's controlled. You know, we're given, the real human beings are given information as human beings get it. Like the information that we're aware now that there are more psychopathic types of people than what we used to be aware was the case. You know, where we used to think, oh, there's, you know, you'd never meet a psychopath. Most people are aware now that they quite likely could be in contact with a psychopathic person, but they still assume that it would probably be only one in a group of 10 if they're in that group. Whereas what they don't know is that it is most of that group. They probably might even be surrounded by 10 out of 10 at a given time and not be aware of it. That is the mind game, because even I will make the mistake of seeing, if I had 10 people around me and I'm looking for the real human, because I'm already aware that it's the rest are all what you could call technical psychopaths, okay? That's just putting it the best way that I can, because I have to use words. That's another thing they're doing on the internet now. They're mimicking that and pretending to muddle with the words as though they're human. And they only do that to make themselves appear to be more human. So theoretically speaking, I could be the same as them. That's putting it bluntly. I've said this even a few years ago. You will not be able to tell the difference. In fact, maybe it's almost best for me to say you could assume that I am a technical android, in the sense that you will be hard-pressed to tell the difference. How can you tell the difference? I would say that the only way you could probably really tell is if you actually met someone and actually just had that feeling. But even that, because acting does affect, good acting, really good acting, like when you're watching a movie, will affect your emotions and therefore your feelings and therefore your thoughts. You can still be deceived. Or the word I saw yesterday, cajoled. I thought that was a good word. It was actually used by these largely technical tarot type readers. I'm not saying that there might not be a real one amongst it, but that could be my deception too. Because the game is played, it's an end game now, so it's played really well. The acting is superb. The mind game is superb. I can't even explain it. I see it daily, but I can't prove it technically because it is just too well played. They're too plausible. They appear to be too genuine when they're really technical androids. And they understand how to play the human mind and the human feelings and emotions to such a level. And if they think that you're wake up and they can't, then they bring in the sight and the sound to basically drive you bonkers. And that's really what it is. They want to then create you to where you are so unstable that you will look irrational and aggressive even. So therefore you look like one of them, or what they really feel, because these artificial androids, underneath their pleasant, nice exterior, play acting to entice, cajole and beguile. Beguile, I like that word because I saw that movie years ago. That was where I got the word from. That's another thing, they're using the music and the movies, because that's what I do, because I've always watched a lot of movies and listened to some of the music years ago, so that's all I've got left for human feeling, because I don't have enough real human interactions, you know, or not successful human relationships. See, so that's it. But I am using the artificial demigod androids, but because they are expressing real life human thoughts, including my own, I think that is okay to do that, and it's all I can do anyway. And I've lost my train of thought, so I'm going to have to fold up. I'm sorry that I just can't continue, because I've just got muddled up here. Oh, wait on. Where was I? Oh, can I get it back? See, I get on a roll, but because of the noise and because I'm stopped from concentrating, and they're just laughing at me on the TV, because don't forget they relay back, the thought process is now being relayed back almost instantaneous when you turn the TV on. But even I'm not aware of it, because some of it is from parts of my mind that I have not been allowed access to, because from the day you're born they close off most of the human mind. They suppress you. Human beings are a suppressed species, while the artificial androids, although they are not in the same class as a real life human being, and they don't really have the power of any creation, but they can destroy, they can control, they can manipulate your mind, they can take over, just like when a great leader with a great army invades a innocent land. In other words, you know, that is power, you see, so it's a power game. It's a mind control power game being played against human beings at the big level, and at a local level, and at a personal interaction level, and at a computer internet level. In other words, every area of a human life now in this endgame scenario is being completely controlled by the technical, artificial, controlling God entity and its entire family, its entire followers, its entire members, which make up most of the population, at least where I am. Now, I'm not saying there might be some areas where there might be more real human beings, but I do think their name of the game is to deliberately surround and isolate every single real-life human being so they have no support. Because, see, when human beings, if they can combine, then their vibration goes up because they feel better. Whereas if you're isolated and suppressed and controlled like I am, your vibration is so low that you do not have enough positive ability to override the technology, therefore to create. Because human thought, with feeling and emotion, as we've been saying for a few years now, creates whatever the reality is. It can override the technology, but we're not overriding it now because we are now in a total technical, or at least I'm not. You know, like I say, if you can get yourself with more human beings, even at a real life, practical, physical level, you could probably make your circumstances better. But if you're isolated and controlled by what's around you, which you can't help that, or you can't move from it, and if you move to another suburb, because it is fairly extensive, you know, they just bring that patrol control force to another suburb. Because I've mentioned before that where I am, I'm 100% aware that this whole area that I'm in is not just my suburb, but it is basically the surrounding 6 or 7 suburbs that are also a complete technical base. A complete technical base, a complete army, you could say. It's like it's a base. It's like an army base. In fact, it is an army base, except that the soldiers and those that are in the army are civilians, they are workmen, they are all your local services, they, in fact, basically everything. So you can't, and in amongst it there might be a few human beings sprinkled, and they are unawares surrounded, most of them probably, I would imagine. The only reason I'm aware is because they came down on me because they presumed that my vibration was going to rise 6 years ago, and that's when they came down hard. In fact, basically they have tried to really, because they're still utilising my thought. Because the more angry they make me, the more productive I am. And so therefore I'm thinking more, and therefore they send my thoughts onto the computer, and their demigods or their pretend human beings at whatever level, whether they pretend to be average people just making a video, or the tarot readers like here, where they're reading the cards. So and they come in all different sorts of, the human body comes in all different shapes and sizes, as I say, all different denominations. See, she's reading the cards, and she literally not only reads my thought, but she can tell me the thoughts of other human beings, or maybe even project what's going on with people that I might, you read the cards to find out what's going on where you don't have access to it. But all that still creates emotion in you because it's always worrying. And they tell you, and they'll leave it, these tarot readers will even tell you that you are surrounded by negative people, that they're out to get you, literally, and all this sort of stuff. That's what they've been telling me now for a few months. Because they know that I know, but they don't put it at the level that I'm saying it really is, though. But it's still correct, you see. So the artificial ones speak the truth in all the different forms on the computer, because they're reading the human thought, and they want the few human beings to believe them, to, like I'm doing, listen to them and think that they're a real life human being, even if they're on the internet or on the computer. And then the people around you want the same deal, but they might think, oh, she's more likely to believe if we give her more truth on the internet, which is actually true, because I don't want to get involved with the real life around me, because then they get the energy direct from you because they're right around you and next to you. And that can be even more disturbing, because I can turn the TV off. I can turn the computer off if I choose to. But, that becomes a false support too, you see, because I'm listening to the so-called demigods. Like I say, when I say demigods, they're like, that's just the description that I usually use of ones that are very successful or well-known or famous, or where they're getting a lot of views with their videos and their information that they're putting out on the computer. They all have their little cult followings. In other words, each separate demigod has their own little amount of human beings that they're drawing in. How real this all is, is another thing. In other words, how many views these people really get, who knows? But I'm assuming that they do get the real human views, because that would probably be their aim, but I'm not sure about that. Don't forget that even the androids, some of the, what I would say, probably those that are not at the top of the hierarchy in this matrix reality, closer to the technical God that would run the whole thing, or that they are serving, whether they be conscious or not. Because you could have you could almost have I would think that you could almost have, it's a bit like human beings are all different. Some are more intelligent than others, aren't they? Some stuck in the centre like most of us, but you can still become aware even if you're not super intelligent, because the awareness is really a lot more important, because that will at least show you what's going on. And if you know what's going on, even if you're not too smart like myself, you should be at least equipped or prepared. Or at least, if you can't physically defend yourself against it like I do, you have to just try to hold on. You just have to try to hold on somehow each day. How should I explain it? I don't know how to explain it. You at least not, you only half being, you still got some part of your mind where you're hanging on to the belief that you don't want this artificial matrix, and that you don't agree with this system and this reality, and that you want to be able to live and create a simple, more peaceful, more pleasant, more what they call higher vibration reality. In other words, where the more the more pleasant human emotions and a liking for real life is what you want and what you need, what you desire, what you need really as a human being. So it's not even about wanting, it's what you need. I'm shouting here because the noise is escalating outside. But the artificial androids need and want this. They want aggressiveness, they want destructiveness. They find the human kind of loving emotions offensive. It's like poison to them, or as some people have said, it's like kryptonite to Superman or kryptonite to me. It actually destroys them. That's why they don't want human beings to operate in what would be their normal state. That's why we've been suppressed since the day we're born, to where we are very sceptical and can't find real life that genuinely likes us.